Yo, what is up, guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, Joshua Buatsi defeats Dan Azeez in a 12-round unanimous decision to win both the British and Commonwealth light heavyweight titles. First and foremost, I enjoyed many aspects of this fight. Felt it was hard fought. Both guys, in my opinion, gave it their all. Buatsi, though, sharper puncher, crisper puncher, better from distance, and all around he landed the better shots for my estimation. Felt he was the rightful winner in this fight. I will say though, in round 11, there were 2 knockdowns in favour of Joshua Buatsi. I've only seen these once in real time. The first knockdown, I can understand why the referee called it. Dan Azeez was applying pressure, and I think Buatsi landed either a jab or a straight right, I forget. Again, I haven't seen the replay. Buatsi lands the shot, Azeez takes it, and almost immediately after, Azeez slips on the canvas, and you could tell by the way he fell, it looked like a slip. Like fluid on the canvas or sweat on the canvas. But he was caught by a punch like a millisecond before. So I understand why the referee called that knockdown. Second knockdown, it happened again, but to me it looked like even more of a slip. So Azeez was caught by a shot, and then Azeez, you could see him lose his footing under the canvas. But he kind of slipped and he went forward and kind of face planted on the ground. You know, let's say you would slip on ice, for example. It's hard to explain, but the second knockdown looked even more legit to be a slip. Again, I think Azeez was caught by a shot, but the shot didn't really put him over. So I felt both knockdowns were harsh, man, based on looking at it one time in real time. First couple of rounds were feel-out rounds. Azeez was trying to be compact. Buatsi was looking more comfortable from range. Both guys were throwing their jabs. I felt Buatsi looked a little more crisp with his work, quicker with his work. Felt Buatsi's jabs were more effective. He was also mixing the left hook into play as Azeez was trying to march forwards. Azeez was doing decent work in between Buatsi's punches, but Buatsi was just landing the better punches, in my opinion. After the second or third round, I felt Buatsi started to engage Azeez in Azeez's type of fight. Early rounds, Buatsi was half step back, jab, right hand, left hook disguised by a jab. Felt he was boxing okay early on. I felt after the third round, Buatsi started to engage Azeez in a bit of a battle, so to speak. He kind of allowed Azeez to get on his chest. And Azeez is pretty good at punching in between your punches, and he was able to land on Buatsi, and he made many of those rounds competitive after the third round. He was landing well in the exchanges, like I said, but the issue was for Dan Azeez. While he was finding success in the exchanges, again, Buatsi's punches, in my estimation, looked far quicker, looked much more crisp, and overall they looked like they had more power. To my estimation, it looked like Azeez was feeling the shots more than Buatsi was. Don't get me wrong, Azeez again was having success, he was landing shots. At times he would make Buatsi miss and swing wildly, but I think Buatsi was swinging wildly because he realised Azeez couldn't really hurt him, if that makes sense. And for me, the success that Azeez had was mainly due to Buatsi engaging in that sort of fight. There was some good exchanges throughout this fight. Azeez won a few rounds, no doubt about it, but even without the 2 knockdowns that are dubious, I felt Buatsi did enough to win this fight. Crisper puncher. Overall, he was more accurate. At times, he was swinging wildly off balance, but overall, his work was more accurate, was more eye-catching. Azeez tried to work her way out of that crouch, but it just wasn't enough in my opinion. Just wasn't enough. Azeez took some good shots. He gave it a go, as they say. Can't really fault his effort. But we found out his level tonight. Azeez is good British level / European level. I think Buatsi is slightly above that. I'm not ready to say Buatsi is world level, but there's a thing in between world level and European level. I think right now I would put Buatsi at that level, in between world level, in between European level. But yeah, he took Azeez's shots pretty well. He was never really affected, in my opinion, whereas Azeez was. Azeez was hurt in the last round. After the knockdowns in round 11, Azeez came out early in round 12, tried to force the issue, tried to push Buatsi back. Buatsi then was able to get his right hand into play, firing it around the guard of Azeez, kind of hurting Azeez a couple of times. Buatsi, for my money, it was a weird fight. It was entertaining to watch. It was relatively competitive, but it was one of those fights where, despite it being pretty competitive, Buatsi was always a step ahead, or a couple of steps ahead, in my opinion. And overall, I think this is a decent win for Buatsi at this level. But ultimately, now it's time to move up. He's beaten Craig Richards, who is a good domestic fighter, maybe fringe European level. He's beaten Dan Azeez, good domestic fighter, maybe European level. He's beat Bolotniks, maybe European level. We know the next step. Buatsi needs to step up. He needs to fight at world level now. When you assess the scene at light heavyweight, it looks like Bivol and Beterbiev are going to fight each other. So we can rule those guys out, but there are other contenders out there. A fight that makes a lot of sense, maybe he's not world level, but he's dangerous, is Anthony Yarde. That would generate a lot of interest in the UK. And I have to say, Yarde's style, I think, could give Buatsi a lot of trouble. We saw how Azeez was able to punch with Buatsi at times. The issue is, Azeez isn't a big puncher. He's not a quick puncher. Yarde is. Yarde can throw with you. He was doing it against Beterbiev. A couple of times he did it against Kovalev. He can throw while you throw. He can fight in the exchanges. And with his hand speed, with his power, I think he's a hard matchup for Buatsi. I think Buatsi does a lot well. The issue with Buatsi, in my mind, is that he doesn't use his mind enough. I think he has a good jab when he uses it. I think he's got a good long right hand when he uses it. He's got good punch technique overall, but I feel like you can draw this guy into a fight a little too much. And against a guy like Yarde, that may be his undoing. If this fight were to be made tomorrow, I would favour Yarde. Not by much, but I would favour Yarde. Nevertheless, good fight in my opinion between Buatsi and Azeez. I felt it was decent. Not a barn burner by any means, but decent. And yeah, we'll see what happens now. We'll see what happens with Buatsi's career. As for Dan Azeez, I mean, he can still compete domestically at light heavyweight. Craig Richards' fight makes a lot of sense, in my opinion. So yeah, Dan Azeez is domestic level. Carry on. But Buatsi needs to take a fight of consequence, a fight of jeopardy. And I think Anthony Yarde is the perfect fight. We know there's promotional issues there. Fingers crossed it can get made. Anyway, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Del Boy. Peace.